All right, everybody. Um, so continuing our discussion about factoring, um, we have learned how to factor, how to solve quadratic equations using factoring. So when I say we've learned how to solve quadratic equations by factoring, I mean problems like this right here. All right, we get it to equal 0, factor, both factors equal 0. The next way we're going to learn to solve quadratic equations, first we need to talk about perfect square trinomials. So when I say perfect square, I mean that it looks like this right here, where you've got a term A plus a term B, and the sum of those squared. All right, and I'll show you with actual variables and numbers in a minute. But so if we say the sum of A and B squared, we can also write that as A plus B times A plus B because of this squared right here, right? And then use distributive property. We have A squared plus AB plus AB plus B squared. Combine like terms and you get A squared plus 2AB plus B squared. And this is the setup that you will see for all perfect square trinomials. All right, so you can either learn this pattern and recognize that, 2 times A times B is in the middle here, and then it's A squared and B, A and B are both perfect squares, I might have a perfect square trinomial. Or you can factor as normal, and if you get the same thing, meaning A plus B times A plus B, you can then rewrite it as A plus B squared. All right, so let's, I am guessing that was a little bit rapid fire and confusing for a few of you. So let's look at an example with actual numbers and variables. So here we have x squared plus 10x plus 25. So you can factor it the way we have been and say, okay, factors of 25 that add and equal 10. 5 and 5. So you get x plus 5 times x plus 5. Rewrite that as x plus 5 squared. What you'll notice about this is that this is your a term. So a squared here, just like I'll write in red what we were using at the top. So if this is a and 5 is b, then x squared is where your a squared is. 25 is the same as b squared. Or 5 squared. And then 10 times x is 2 times your b term, which is 5, times your a term, which is x. So that's, hopefully you can see what I'm talking about with the a squared plus 2ab plus b squared. This is just the format for a perfect square trinomial. This rings true for all perfect squares. Okay? So let's look at another one. This one has a number in front of x squared. But the thing is, 9 is a perfect square. So, try and do it the same way. If we say that this is our a squared and this is our b squared, and this is the same as 2ab, then we can write it as since this is a squared, we need the square root of 9x squared. And that equals 3x. So we have 3x. Use this symbol right here, plus, or use the sign right there, plus, and then 16, we need, since it's b squared, we need the square root of it to get just b. 16 squared root of 16 is 8. Sorry, it's not 8, it's 4. So 3x plus 4 squared. So let's double check and make sure that's correct, which I'm actually going to show you the 2ab first. So if 24x, that's going to be 2 times, we think that a is 3 and 3x and b is 4. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 3x is 6x. 6x times 4 is 24x. All right, so we know that I'm correct. All right, so hopefully you guys understand perfect square trinomials. Like I said, you can just look at it and factor it the way we have been. It's a little bit faster if you recognize that it's a perfect square trinomial, but there's nothing wrong with saying, okay, what times what equals 25 and adds to equal 10. And then just make sure you rewrite it this way if these are the same. On a side note, do not get perfect squares that have the same sign in both of them confused with difference of squares, which have different signs. So that would be x squared minus 25, and you have x plus 5 times x minus 5. You cannot write that as x plus 5 squared because of this minus sign right here. Now, if they were both minuses, so x minus 5 times x minus 5, you could rewrite them as x minus 5 squared. To do this, they have to be perfectly identical in every way. All right? So enjoy your weekend, and we will practice more with this, talk more about it on Tuesday.